the ESPN Power Rankings.
Right.
3 years out.
No.
That's like saying, that's like asking Betsy Kling, I'm getting married in 2025. Can you tell me if it's going to rain on June 13th?
She get her computer and start
No, wait
trying.
a second. It's not 3 years out. It's the next 3 years combined.
Yes, but the part of that is 3 years out. So it's in
Yeah.
total. It is
Yes.
in total, in fairness. They're not just predicting who's going to win in 2024.
Right.
They had 4 writers that were asked to grade all of the franchises in a number of areas, not just for this coming season, but through 2024. And obviously you would look at contracts, how long they are, the age of their roster, and so forth.
I like all 4 guys that are part of
I
this.
love all 4 guys, and I respect all 4 of them immensely. What they came up with was the Buffalo Bills have the most to look forward to over the next 3 years. Here's the top 5. Don't know that there's anything that's really alarming.
That's great for all those LA fans.
Yeah, they love this.
I'm surprised by the Rams. I am.
Are you? Yeah,
they're
because
a little bit older. They're going to have cap issues.
They're going to have cap issues.
Stafford isn't in the. I mean, Stafford was an upgrade over what they had, but he's not in the class of Josh Allen.
And he's not in the prime of his life either.
No,
he's not.
So I'm a little surprised by that.
I think they expect that big things from the Rams again this year, and perhaps even next year. But again, this is a 3-year.
Yeah,
deal.
I know they weighed the position. They did 5 different grades.
Right. Yeah.
I know they weighed some of them differently than the others. I wonder if they weighed
Quarterback got a lot of weight.
Yes, but I wonder if they weighed the 22 season a little more than 23 and a little more than 24. I wonder if they did that too.
I would have if I was doing it, because obviously, to your point, if you're looking at the
Right.
Rams, you're going to say, well, in 24, they are strapped with contracts that are not favorable to the team.
Right.
And by the way, your draft picks are gone.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to know the 5 things they ranked, by the way?
Yeah, go ahead and read them off. I had them down.
They ranked roster, quarterback, coaching, draft, and front office.
And
Those
roster
are the
is
5.
minus quarterback.
minus quarterback.
Yeah.
So obviously the quarterback has a category all to himself.
Well, one team that doesn't belong with the others in that, and it's the Rams with Stafford. He's not in the again. With
I don't
Allen
even see
and Mahomes.
Packers. I don't even see the Packers.
You know what? That one. Not
I don't
as
know.
much as the Rams.
I agree that Stafford's not as good as those guys, but I don't think it's a huge drop.
How long is his contract for? Is Stafford there? Just
2 more years? No.
2 more years.
Yeah,
Two
2
more
more
years.
years. What's the 6 through 10? This is where we get to
Let's
finally
punch it, Steve.
see some AFC North teams. You've got Cincinnati at 6, Baltimore at 7. Fun to be in that division, huh, kids?
Ugh.
And then Cleveland was tied for 10.
you bumped that other 10
First
out.
and foremost, how is Tampa Bay 8? How is Indianapolis 9?
But wait a second. You guys, I think you're just judging based on the quarterback. This is not just based on quarterback.
No,
It's 5 different categories.
Total roster.
no.
There's 5 categories.
Yeah.
Gee,
Where's Tampa Bay's lights out guys? Like these, I mean, Mike
Tampa Bay's had one of the better defenses the last 2 years.
I mean, yeah.
They got Mike Evans, one of the
Mike-
best
Mike
receivers. They got
Evans
Chris
is-
Godwin.
Mike
He's great.
Evans in 3
Mike
years.
Evans is coming off an injury.
Godwin's coming off an injury.
but you got a quarterback
old.
for probably one more year.
Yeah, there may be 5 categories, but you have to put a lot of weight into the quarterback.
But they don't.
The quarterback was weighted, I think, 15%.
It was 20, I
Was it
think.
20?
And I think the rest of the roster was a little higher.
And it should be.
Yeah.
Just, you know,
Well,
but
I don't know if I agree with that,
mean,
but I think the quarterback
versus the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Man, look, man. If Tom Brady ain't on Tampa Bay, I don't care nothing about the Buccaneers. They don't scare me one lick. Stop
Okay.
playing
To me,
games.
every team on that list besides the Colts has a legitimate chance at the Super Bowl, and that's qualifying that the Browns have Deshaun Watson.
And the Colts definitely don't make sense.
The Colts have a really nice roster besides quarterback, and
I agree with that.
And they got
talent.
The Colts and Browns are very much alike.
I think, too, can you put 6 through 10 up again one more time?
Give us 1 sec. And we also have 11 through 15 if you guys want to see who came in just
I know
throw it up there.
the Niners were tied with the Browns for 10th. But here's the thing:
You
the
can throw it
Browns,
up there.
the Browns are 7th in the AFC on this list. And the point I wanted to make off of this, guys, is that I think there's this sentiment out there, and I obviously have been very high on the Browns, and I think they have a chance to win a Super Bowl this year. And I think 9 teams have a chance to win a Super Bowl, and I think 6 of them in the AFC, and that's what makes it very
Not
challenging.
ideal.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what makes it very challenging. The Browns roster minus quarterback is really good, but it's not. It's either not better or certainly not significantly better than Buffalo, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Kansas City, and the Chargers. I think all 6 of those rosters are kind of neck and neck. If you look at just their roster rankings, the Bills were kind of above, and then the other 5 AFC teams were all really, really close,
right,
minus quarterback. And that's why this idea that if Watson missed the whole season, the Browns could make the playoffs is really silly. And they're not making the playoffs. Even if they did,
one of us here thinks that they are.
That's not silly.
I think it's silly. Go ahead.
That's not silly. Because here's the thing: every year we know somebody that is a team.
Yeah.
is good one year, and then they're not good the next
You're
year.
correct. That's true.
Somebody goes
Sometimes
from worst to
multiple
first.
teams.
Multiple. You're like, what happened to that team? The NFL, I always say, if you want to lose your house, just bet on the NFL. You're like,
you're right.
The teams take L's like last year. Can you imagine? We looking at Kansas City like, man, they getting smoked. They should have lost to the Browns. They lost the next 3. We took a look at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was 13, 14, and 1, and then lost the rest of their games and got smoked by the Browns in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
but let me ask you this. Let me ask you. Sorry to cut you off, but I just want to ask you this question. Like, who's the quarterback? Like, if Jacoby Brissett is the quarterback, how are they win? You're right. There's always teams that come out of nowhere, and there's always teams that you think are going to be good, and that could be the Bengals, that could be the Ravens, that could be the Chargers maybe. But like, are teams going to the playoffs now in the AFC with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback?
I look at it like this.
Yeah.
The 2 years the Cleveland Browns, the 1 year they went to the playoffs, Baker was great.
Right.
But the year that he wasn't particularly great in 2019 and 2021, they won 7-8 games.
I
They
hear
won
you.
7 and 8.
And there's a lot of teams with mediocre quarterbacks that win 7 or 8 games because most NFL games are close.
Yes.
Right?
So my thought process is this. Most games are close.
Yeah.
It comes down to a lot of different things. If
Yeah.
you got your roster where the Browns are in that mix,
Right.
I just watched the Browns last year with a quarterback off the street almost beat the Raiders. He didn't even, he's off the street. So my thing is, if you got 2 backs, we just talked about how good the running backs is. Now, granted, you're going to have to win some games that you shouldn't win, but it's not a stretch if you say the Browns win 10 games. I just saw
Percentage chance they win 10 games with Jacoby playing every game.
it's probably 30.
Well, wait.
I think you're too high,
You
but
got
all
to be
right.
at least 51% because you say they're going to win 10 and make the playoffs.
No, he didn't say that. He just said they had a chance.
I said they got
He didn't say they definitely do
I
it.
didn't say
So
they
I thought
definitely
we had a
have
conversation before the show where I thought you said
You think they're?
going
You
10
don't
and
think
7.
they're definitely going to do
I
it?
said, who says they're going to go 10
But
and 7?
30% is a legit shot. I think there's like a 5% chance.
I don't think what I said is that's not out of the picture to win 10
So
games.
it's not crazy.
No, it's not
Especially
crazy.
not with Chubb scoring 15, 25 touchdowns, according to Jake.
You're
like,
right.
the Bengals have a good roster too. If Joe Burrow gets hurt and doesn't play, they're not going to the playoffs.
Yeah, see, you're right. And the speculation.
That's how I see it.
Like, I
in
know
this
these.
AFC.
As far as this this report goes or
Yeah.
whatever, I'm sure these guys are brilliant. I'm glad they're your friends. I'm sure they're great NFL minds. Whatever.
But be careful.
I'm sure they know their stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This exercise is completely pointless and
Yeah,
stupid.
You're making
It is
an assumption
completely
that they
speculative.
wanted to do this.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And I'm
Huge
not.
leap.
And I also know that I know that these are just fun exercises, and I get it. But trying to speculate the win-loss total of these football teams over the next 3 years while removing the element of the quarterback is a completely
And
insane
injury
exercise.
and
injury.
retirement,
And
which
just
is why
falling off a cliff.
that's why I said
So,
it's akin to
I would
asking
love-
someone what the weather's going to be
Yes.
3 years
Yeah,
from
but
now. on a
we're
specific
discussing
day.
it really for this year, and I thought I agree with what you're
Well,
saying.
the study shouldn't be for 3 years if that's the case.
Sure, that's true.
1 year study might have made more sense.
Obviously, ESPN knows what's highly clickable.
Yes.
This is highly clickable, so much so that they're pushing their plus site, their pace
Yes.
site, with this headline on their NFL
That's
page.
what brings me to
Got
my
us
next
talking
point.
about it.
That's
I
it.
just
we
think,
took the
guys,
bait.
Exactly. That's
We
what brings
took
me
the
to my
bait.
next point.
Go ahead,
And
sir.
our next
Yeah.
point, my point is, we got to start cranking out these dumb reports that make no sense.
make
just
people pay
rank
for
it
it?
up, not even make them pay for it. Just get
Yeah.
them sticky. Like put the right words in there and stuff like that. Make them controversial. Whatever we say doesn't have to make any sense.
That's the
We'll
internet
never be beholden
2022.
to
Top 10
whatever we say.
massage therapists I've been to.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Stuff like
Yeah.
that. But no, we just do.
Jason, you sort of live in that world. I mean,
Yeah.
your business, your day job, is highly reliant on people seeing one of your headlines and deciding that they want to, it's window shopping, that you want to, that's what you use to get them in the door.
Yeah, it makes it's gross.
It is gross.
and it's
part of
funny
everything.
because I don't participate in that. I've talked to teams and like, listen, I don't play this game.
You don't either.
I will tweet
No.
something out one time and that's it.
Yep.
And sometimes when things get a perfect example is the last Brown story I wrote on Baker. I'm like, why is everybody talking about this? This isn't a big deal, you
Yeah.
guys. And I was the one trying to tamp it down, and I wrote the friggin' thing.
You know what, Jace? And this is, I maintain this forever. When you're a good journalist and a good writer, you don't need tricks.
Yeah.
You don't need stupid hot takes. You don't need ridiculous clickbait headlines. People come to you now because of your body of work in
Yes.
the past. You're reputable. You're terrific at your job. and they know they're going to learn something when they read you.
Because you
All
don't
right, Jay,
post
let's not
those
overstate
alarms
Jason.
anymore.
His ego's big enough.
Give him the biggest surprise.
Listen, here's what
I speak for
I
many
appreciate
Clevelanders.
Here's what I did take from this column is that it shows you why it was so important for the Browns to go get Deshaun Watson. Because when you have all these teams in the AFC, we could debate how much you can predict 24, but nobody's debating that the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, the Ravens, and
Throw the Raiders, in there. Throw the Chargers,
Raiders,
in there.
Broncos.
even the Broncos
It's
with
a
Russell
gauntlet.
Wilson.
There's 7
a lot of
teams.
really good
Yes.
teams in the AFC.
Yeah.
Horrible.
There's 7 teams to me with really good quarterback play. I'm not going to call elite and all
Right,
that.
right.
7. By the way, that 7 does not include Tennessee, Pittsburgh, New England, and I'll throw Indianapolis in there because I like the Colts. I like
Well,
the
then it's 8.
organization.
If you're including Carr and Russell Wilson, it's 8.
Well, I am including Carr and Russell Wilson.
That's
Did I,
8.
did I miss? Did I?
Watson.
Are you including Watson?
Yeah.
Then that's 8.
Okay.
So that means there's only 3 garbage teams in the whole AFC.
But that's what
That's
we're
it.
saying.
The Jets and the Jets and Jaguars have the top 2 picks of the draft last
Jets,
year.
Jaguars, and Texans.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you
Yeah.
got.
Because I mean,
Trash,
if you don't
that's
have
it.
a great quarterback, the teams that don't have a great quarterback are still great organizations. The Steelers, the Patriots. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't put the Colts in that category, but I like
they
the
got
They've
good
been a
players.
fairly consistent,
have been.
competitive team.
And the Titans. The
And
Titans.
they
were
got a
the
good
1 seed.
roster. Titans have a good roster.
To your point
Yeah.
about you're using this exercise
Yeah.
as the reason why they had to go out and get Watson.
Yeah.
There's the quiet part that's never said out loud from organizations. I'm sure you've had members within organizations, maybe even the Guardians, that will tell you it's not just about your construction. It's about what's going on around
yeah.
you. There's been
Oh,
a
for
lot
sure.
of discussion over the last couple of days here in Cleveland. Juan Soto, do you give up the farm to get him? And part of that equation has to be, well, what's going on elsewhere in the American League? Does he make you better than the Yankees? Mm-hmm. Ultimately, that's the question that teams are asking. They don't talk about it publicly. You may have had conversations, I know I have, with general managers that are parts of teams that at the trade deadline, they're explaining off record why they're not going to be big buyers. Right. That is a huge part of this equation. So as much as you can say you use this study or this exercise as to why you had to go get Deshaun Watson, there's also a case to be made where you have to ask yourself, and I think the Browns are much closer to that situation than the Guardians are you constituted around Watson to win it now over those 7 teams
Yes.
that are juggernauts?
And a peak example to exactly what you're talking about, different sport, was the Warriors in the NBA.
100%.
NBA teams that pulled back and said, we're
We
not
can't.
touching
Why
that.
would we
right.
make a move now?
And that's
We're
why the
gonna let
Browns
this
did,
play
because they
out.
are constituted to compete. And by the way, they ranked, these 4 guys from ESPN ranked the Browns 10th in quarterback, and the only reason they're that low is because we don't know
don't
when
know.
Watson's going to play.
They don't know.
And that even with that hanging over their 10th, the Carolina Panthers are 28th at quarterback. So
Yeah. Well, I will say this too. They're looking at 30 or 17 times 3, 51 games.
Right.
So they don't know what Watson's
Right,
going to
but-
miss, but they know that for the bulk of those 51 games, Deshaun Watson's going to be their guy.
Right, but I'm saying even with some unknown for this year, he's
Yeah.
still 10th.
Sure.
Which I'm not saying he'd be 4th, but he
Right.
might be 7th.
Yeah.
Whatever. Whereas Carolina's 28th.
Well, they don't.
Now we don't know who the quarterback's going to be. But,
Past this year, you don't even know who the quarterback's going to be this year.
right, but they could speculate in this that if Baker Mayfield's good, Carolina would keep him. Why
Let me
would
ask you
they?
guys-
But
let
they
me ask you
also,
guys a question
if
real
he's
quick.
good, they're probably not going to be able to keep him because they'll hit the free agent market, and
They could franchise him.
They could.
Let me ask you guys a question. Adidas
Yeah.
should hop on here any second, and we can bring her right in once she gets on. But taking out the quarterback, looking at the 4 AFC North teams, which roster in the NFC North do you like best minus the quarterback?
Still take the Bengals in a slight nod over ours.
It's.
Nah,
I think it's very close.
I do too.
if you
very
take,
close.
if you,
I would
you
actually
take
take the Ravens.
you taking the quarterback out?
You would.
Yeah.
No
I would.
quarterback. So Lamar Jackson, Deshaun
I'd still
Watson.
take the Ravens. Based on
Steelers
coaching,
situation, and
culture,
Joe
the
Burrow
running
out
backs
of the
being
equation.
Are
healthy.
you
the
just
defense.
talking roster, not coach?
Yeah,
Just
the
the
roster.
roster. Just the actual
Right.
talent
Just the
on
roster.
Because I'm with you. The culture
Give me-
and the
it's hard-
coach
You
Yeah.
can't
matter.
really separate that.
Give me the Browns. I'll take the Browns.
I would take the Browns by the smallest of hairs over the Bengals. To me, the Ravens are a fairly substantial third.
I'll
for
take
me.
the Browns. I won't give the Bengals that, but I think you're probably right.
But Joe Burrow's added to the Bengals. That's what he's the star. He's the star.
He is the guy.
That's it.
He is the guy.
But if you look at the Browns, they got a top guy almost at every dang on position.
Right.
You know what's tough about our division? There's 5 of us, and there were 3 different answers to that question.
Yeah.
And you could have said the Steelers. Honestly, I think that
No, I'm not going Pittsburgh.
take the quarterback
take
out.
the
The
quarterback
roster
out,
is talented. It's not like they're a
Pittsburgh's
scrub,
got the
though.
worst
No.
offensive line in the division.
Yeah, they've got holes, and I don't know that any of these other 3 teams in the conference have gaping holes.
Right.
They have the second best receiving core. I like Deontay Johnson, Claypool. I like them.
I like their receivers
The
too.
receivers is better than the
It's
Browns.
a big drop. Yeah, but they're way behind the Bengals. That's a big drop off.
But they're still above the Browns.
I don't know that they're significantly ahead of the Browns.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Oh,
the
yeah.
Browns are closer to the Steelers than the Steelers are to the Bengals. Because Jamar Chase is way better than Deontay Johnson.
Not according to Madden.
Well, Matt, I mean,
Well,
that's
Madden
absurd.
got that
That's
epically
ridiculous.
wrong.
I mean, Deontay Johnson
Is good.
Is
He
good.
ain't
He's
Jamar
good.
Chase.
No, he's not.
What's Baltimore's offensive line situation?
It's okay.
They're solid up front.
It's all right.
I don't know that.
Bengals offensive line got better this offseason.
Are we looking at the division, the construction of the division?
Yeah.
I think everybody is really quick to put the Steelers at the bottom of this division.
Because we want them to be there.
Because they have the worst quarterback
maybe-
situation.
I know,
Yeah.
but
They're
I'm
still the
telling you,
Steelers.
they're still the culture and the coach, and you brought that up with the
absolutely.
Ravens. I have seen Mike
They haven't won
Tomlin.
a playoff game in a while.
I have seen but here's the thing with the Steelers, which drives me nuts. They never are at the bottom end of the talent cycle in
No,
the NFL.
no.
They're always 10 games, 11 games in the discussion. And I think this notion that you can start throwing dirt on their grave because Ben is gone and other positions are weak and they're old.
it's time.
I'm very leery of doing that just
Yeah.
because it's Mike Tomlin, and I've seen them pull a rabbit out of a hat many times.
Go ahead.
I get what you're saying, but let's be realistic. Their offensive line stinks. Najee Harris is a good running back, but I don't buy that he's special. I don't know about you. I don't think he's special. I think he's good. And they got nobody else. They got no depth there, which I think is important at the position. Their top 2 wide receivers are good, but Chase Claypool to me is pretty good. He's all right, but they have nobody else. Their tight end's fine. Their defense to me is overrated. It's studs and duds on their defense. They got a few stars that are really, really good.
Really good.
And then they got some big holes on defense.
I think this just goes into what Jimmy Haslam is thinking, man. When you say, why would you do all this for Deshaun Watson? It's exactly what we said. He tired of taking them L's. I'm not going to let Big Ben retire right off into the sunset and still let another guy come in and beat me. That ain't happening.
Yeah, but this move wasn't made so they could be better than the Steelers.
No. They want to get to the Super Bowl, but the process is the Steelers have always been. They won't die.
You can't kill them.
How
You
much
gotta
of that
kill
was
the
Ben
Steelers.
Roethlisberger?
You gotta
Really,
kill
how
them.
much of that was Ben Roethlisberger?
Well, in Mike Tomlin's
We're
time,
about to
all
find
of
out.
it.
Yep, we're about to find out.
Tomlin's
And I'm thinking more about Bengals versus Browns on the roster besides quarterback. And I definitely, I said the Browns are better, and the more I think about it, the more I feel about that, because outside of wide receiver, I don't know where the Bengals are clearly better anywhere else. The Bengals are better at D tackle.
Safety.
They're much better at D tackle.
I like Bates
but I
over-
don't know that Jesse Bates is going to play.
Pay
How
him.
many games do you think the Steelers win?
8,
I got them 8-9.
8, 9?
They get 8 wins.
I don't. I have no idea. I really don't. And it's really. I think Ben Roethlisberger was a bigger part of that than people realize. How much time, and I think that he was like having another coach on the field. I don't think he made any dumb moves.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be reminded. Remember what Mason Rudolph looked like with that team.
Yeah.
We're going to be reminded of
How good he was.
We're going to be reminded of what a rookie quarterback looks like if that kid plays this year.
Aditi, this is a perfect time to bring you in because we've been chewing on the Steelers.